Dear Lord Wolf and Miss Barbara Dohrmann, dear judges, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all at the opening of the AIFC Court and the International Arbitration Center. As you all know, apart from economic and financial reforms, we undertake a number of structural, systemic reforms. We clearly understand that the rule of law underpins sustainable economic development. Therefore, we pay particular attention to the formation of a modern, independent and professional judicial system with fair and accessible justice. By establishing the court and the arbitration center based on the principles of English law, we complete the institutional structure of the AIFC. We also deliver on one of the key initiatives of our first president, Mr. Nursultan Nazarbayev. And using this opportunity, I would like to commend his initiative. We all remember that it's due to his vision that we see the AIFC successfully operate today. The creation of the AIFC is also one of the instruments for our country to enter the world's top 30 developed, the most advanced countries. We realize that it's a very ambitious goal. It requires steady levels of quality economic growth, diversification, attraction and retention of investment and technologies. However, we are not afraid, we are not scared of reforms. Therefore, for the first time in the post-Soviet era, English common law was introduced, successfully introduced, into our country's general legal system. I'm certain that formation of the judicial corps of the AIFC from the most distinguished and respected British judges predetermines success, eventual success. Today, the AIFC Court and Arbitration Center are starting to write their own history, create their own precedents, and build up trust in investors at the local and global levels. The time has come to utilize our competitive advantages and find our own niche among other similar institutions. I also wish to mention one important detail regarding the history of our judicial system. As early as the 15th century, the main judicial authority in Kazakhstan was the Court of Bees. Bee in our language means a judge. It helped to lead people to civil accord, harmony and peace through conducting fair and accessible justice for all. Today, we are opening a new chapter. The AIFC judges should take this important role and remain a symbol of justice and impartiality. It's symbolic that we open this chapter in one of the three halls named after the most prominent Kazakh bees, Toli bee, Kazabek bee, Aytaki bee. Finally, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Chief Justice of the AIFC Court, Lord Wolf, the Chairman of the International Arbitration Center, Ms. Barbara Dohrmann, and Chief Executive of the AIFC, Mr. Christopher Campbell-Holt, for their personal contribution to the creation of the court and the center. I wish you all great success. I declare the building of the AIFC Court and the Arbitration Center open. I've seen it. You see it? Yes. I even read some chapters.
I understand what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's have it.
Раз, один, два, три. Один, два, три. Раз.
Раз, раз, два, три. Раз, 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 два, три. Раз, два, три. Раз, два, три.
AIX – это новые возможности для бизнеса в Казахстане и в регионе. Это высокотехнологичная площадка для выхода компаний на фондовый рынок и дальнейшего развития в публичном статусе. Мы помогаем бизнесу привлекать капитал, когда иные инструменты финансирования малоэффективны, а гражданам вкладывать свои средства в перспективные компании страны. Наша задача – развивать центральноазиатский фондовый рынок. Мы предоставляем мировым финансовым институтам и локальным инвесторам доступ к этому быстрорастущему региону. Биржа работает по правилам, понятным для международных инвесторов. Именно здесь они получают возможность инвестировать в уникальные активы, развивая казахстанскую экономику. AIX – это драйвер роста для частного бизнеса, государственных компаний и роста благосостояния казахстанцев.
Good morning, Your Excellency, the President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to AIX. At AIX, our role is simple. We need to develop a vibrant capital market for Kazakhstan and the region. A capital market that will provide the capital to grow businesses and accelerate economic growth, and a capital market that will provide a broad range of investment opportunities for people within the region. Since the first President Nazarbayev launched AIX in July last year, we've had a remarkable 12 months. We're fully operational by November with the listing of Kazatomprom, an IPO that raised $75 million of retail investor demand, more than any other IPO in Kazakhstan over the last decade. Now that Kazatomprom is trading, it is the second most liquid stock in Kazakhstan and is trading at 3 times the volume we would expect from an emerging market average. We've also welcomed a range of different trading members, all of the major brokers in Kazakhstan, as well as 4 international brokers, which cover an investor base from Asia through Russia and Europe. Our second equity listing, Polymetal, demonstrated that we can link with global exchanges, that we can attract companies with significant Kazakh interest to list, and that we can mobilize regional investor demand. In short, we have developed a well-regulated, well-understood platform underpinned by the AIFC jurisdiction and AFSA, our regulator. Surprisingly for me, we've had more interest than I would expect from local companies wanting to raise capital, and pleasingly as well, a large amount of international investor interest to invest in Kazakhstan. But of course, we are by no means done. We need to continue to work to build a vibrant market. It's a 3 to 5 year journey. And there are 3 factors in that journey that will drive success. The first one is a broad product offering for issuers to raise capital and for investors to invest. The second is a single, integrated, domestic and international capital market in Kazakhstan. And thirdly, we need to continue to innovate, to take advantage of the opportunities we have in a rapidly changing global capital markets environment. Of course, the pillar or the foundation of AIX's product set is the privatisation program. And we look forward to the next offering by Samruk Kazina, as well as do local and international investors. But that is simply insufficient for us to build a new marketplace. We have developed a rule set, the Belt and Road market, specifically targeted for those companies and infrastructure projects that will raise money as part of the China's Belt and Road initiative. Today, we'll sign a number of MOUs with stakeholders around the BRI, including with China Construction Bank, the second largest bank in China and the world, and the first bank to be registered with an AIFC. That agreement will support fixed income issuance and RMB convertibility. The second market which our board approved this morning is for junior mining companies. That, combined with the changes to the subsoil sector in 2015, will enable capital be raised for a very important sector of the Kazakh economy, to increase exploration and production of the subsoil sector. And finally, today, we're announcing the launch of our first exchange-traded fund in partnership with ITI, an innovative European-based funds group. The second success factor for us is to develop an integrated single capital market in Kazakhstan. Today, we're announcing a trading membership from Renaissance Capital, a leading frontier and emerging markets broker, to broaden our reach with investors in Russia and around the world. And secondly, tomorrow we'll sign a cooperation agreement with Nasdaq Dubai that will broaden the investor base to the Middle East. Locally, we're announcing today a trading membership for KazPost, which has the largest retail distribution network in Kazakhstan, along with AIX Connect, a mobile application that over time will become the gateway for retail investors who want to invest in AIX. And as I mentioned before, an exchange-traded fund, which of course is now the preferred vehicle for the large number of retail investors worldwide to access stocks and bonds. Finally, we need to innovate. The global capital markets are changing rapidly, and one of the benefits of being a new exchange is we can do things differently. We did this in November when we listed the shares and GDRs of Kazatomprom, and similarly the cross-listing of Polymetal was unique. Today we're announcing a range of enhancements to our market model. Things such as a global custody model that is second to none, securities borrowing and lending and short selling to support our market makers, the easy conversion of shares to GDRs, and finally, the ability for our offshore brokers to settle in a currency of their choice. Combined, these initiatives will enable us to build a much deeper and more vibrant capital market. If we do that, we will help businesses raise more capital and support the economic growth of Kazakhstan and the region. Thank you very much. I'd now like to ask the Chairman of the Management Board of KazPost to join me on the stage, Sarkin Serenov, to accept the certificate recognising their... And secondly, Christophe Chillier, who's the Chairman of the Board of Renaissance Capital. Christophe. Thank you, everyone.
NASDAQ Дубай.
Хамед Али.
Раз. Dear guests, please take your seats. Please switch off your mobile phones.
dear members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, back in December 2015, our first president, Yelbasi, Mr. Nazarbayev, initiated an ambitious project, the creation of an international financial center in this part of the world, in the very heart of Eurasia. We supported this initiative at the highest possible constitutional level and gave the AIFC a special status in the main law of our country. Last year, the first president gave the official start, as a matter of fact, launched the Astana International Financial Center. Today we welcome our guests and we are holding the meeting of the Council in the new offices of the AIFC. Since its establishment, we held 4 meetings of the Management Council. The Council approved the development strategy of the AIFC, the structure of the AIFC bodies, and other systemic matters. The Council also created a new independent financial regulator, Astana Financial Services Authority, and appointed its chair, Lady Barbara Judge. We wish you success in this position. Today we are glad to welcome highly reputable leaders of financial industry, Dr. Bandar Hajar, President of IDB, Islamic Development Bank, and Mrs. Julia Monaco, Global Head of Public Sector, Citigroup, as new members of the Council. Earlier this day, we have launched another structural institution of the AIFC, the AIFC Court and the Arbitration Center. I was also informed of the achievements and future directions for the development of the AIFC. Ladies and gentlemen, the AIFC is not only a special territory within Nur-Sultan city, our capital, and its financial center. It's also a hub for competence and development of human capital, green finance, Islamic finance, and financial technologies. All these achievements are not only the product of our own internal efforts, they're also the result of the constant support of the international financial community and our dear partners. Lord Wolf, Mrs. Dochman, Lady Judge, Mr. Bennett, our strategic partners, IDB, EBRD, EDB, Shanghai Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, Goldman Sachs, we thank you all for your contribution to the development of the center and for sharing your valuable experience with us. Over the year, the International Financial Center has risen by 37 positions, reaching number 51 in the prestigious Global Index of Financial Centers. The city of Nur-Sultan is in the lead among the countries of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Overall, it's safe to say that all the necessary conditions have been established. Now we need practical, tangible results. We shall proceed now to the agenda of the meeting. I give the floor to the AIFC Governor, Mr. Kairat Kelimbetov. The floor is yours, Mr. Kelimbetov.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege to report me this morning. So it's an annual report procedure of the Management Council of Astana International Financial Center. We've been launched July 5th by the initiative of the first President Nur-Sultan Nazarbayev. You remember a year ago it was a launch ceremony, and in these 12 months we achieved good results in terms of the registration of more than 200 companies in our regulation authorities. So, and I'm proud to say that among the 200 companies we have very famous institutions such as China Development Bank, China Construction Bank, and we are looking forward to be really a financial hub for the Belt and Road Initiative in Central Asia. We focus on the 5 particular pillars, so the capital markets is the most important. We've been proud to have the IPO of Kazatomprom belongs to Samruk Kazyna, and also recently the Russian mining giant Polymetal been listed after their listings in London and Moscow, also in Kazakhstan in a platform of Astana International Exchange. So we are targeting 3 type of markets. One is Eurasian Economic Union, the second is Central Asia in broader terms, and number 3 is Belt and Road in Central Asia. So the other dimensions with kind of the new industries for Kazakhstan, like Islamic finance, and we are proud to be in close touch with Islamic Development Bank and to host the premises of these institutions' regional headquarters here in Astana International Financial Center. Also, green finance, we reported to you, Mr. President, that we have huge plans in terms of to issue first green bonds in the region, and also fintech. I think the fintech is a game changer in the financial industry, and this is one of the pillars which we would like particularly develop. I would like to remind that this initiative started in 2015, and from very beginning we're working closely with EBRD and the CTUK, who help us to establish the jurisdiction of English common law, which is already like 60 laws based on English common law, which is the best international practice, and we establish the dispute resolution authority. So that creates enormous opportunities for improving investment climate in Kazakhstan. So we're also looking forward to work with our partners, with Shanghai Stock Exchange, with Goldman Sachs, Silk Road Fund, and I think the AFC can be really infrastructure financing facility hub. The government and central bank is very much supportive, so the key issues is also connectivity. So we are working very closely with the government to open direct flight to Tokyo, to Narita Airport, to Singapore, to Shanghai, and that's really connect the AFC with the many global financial centers. Like you mentioned that these results been mentioned by the Global Financial Index ranking, so we've been in the 51st place. It's a huge responsibility for us to continue to be first in Central Asia, in Eastern Europe, and I believe that all our partners and participants really will help us to continue, and we have very ambitious goals in the future. We actually think now working under the strategy 2020 till 2030, and I think this 10 years really can be very important for the further development, not only AFC, but the Kazakhstani economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I propose to proceed with the discussion, and I give the floor to the President of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Sir Suma Chakrabarti. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Governor Klimbitov, fellow members of the Management Council, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say it's a huge, huge inspiration to me personally to see our AIFC taking shape before our own eyes. If I may, let me just take this opportunity briefly to salute Kazakhstan's first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, really for his leadership in general, but his vision also, as Governor Klimbitov said, in creating the AIFC in particular, I think. I applaud his role, of course, in effecting the transformation of the country from what was once a former Soviet republic to now a flourishing and modernizing state. And I think the AIFC is a shining example of that transformation. I believe most strongly, both I and my institution believe most strongly, that AIFC is going to be a major success story, both for Kazakhstan, but importantly also for Central Asia as a region. I think its impact is going to be felt here in Nur-Sultan, but across the regions of Kazakhstan and in the other countries in which EBRD invests across this region. And Mr. President, if I may say so, it's also an honor to meet you for the very first time. We're going to have a proper bilateral conversation later in the week, which I look forward to. But congratulations on your election. We wish you all the very best for your new role as head of state. Now, we at the EBRD, we are one of the largest institutional investors in Kazakhstan. We are doing everything we can to support reform and investment in this country. And at the heart of that, AIFC is playing a big, big part. It's a very important part of what we try to do here. So our commitment to AIFC and to its future success is absolute. I think the progress that AIFC has made since it was first conceived a few years back has been really impressive, as are, I must say, your new premises and surroundings. I think from the tiny seed of an idea a few years back, AIFC has now grown into a fully operational financial centre. It's attracted foreign shareholders, it's installed modern trading technologies, it's introduced English law to Central Asia, and I admit a prejudice in favour of English law generally. And it's also proved itself very capable of performing, I think, the most complex transactions, which is a real test of the success. And I've been very pleased to note some of the highlights since I was last year in Nur Sultan, such as the floating of Kazatomprom, which is the world's largest uranium producer, and now the listing of Russia's Polymetal as well, the first foreign issuer to list here. And by the way, it's also an EBRD client as well. So we're very proud at EBRD of our role in helping all of this to happen. We've been helping to develop the exchange rules, we're helping to develop a crowdfunding regime, and now developing a green finance strategy with AIFC as well. So big success, and we applaud the work, but also look forward to hearing others' impressions of the AIFC's recent work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the next speaker will be President of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Bandar Hajjar. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellency, Mr. Kazim Jomart Tokayev, President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Chairman of the Astana International Financial Center Management Council, Your Excellency, Mr. Askar Mamin, Prime Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan, distinguished members of the AIFC Management Council, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here today and to have the opportunity to address such a distinguished gathering. First, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to His Excellency Mr. Kazim Jomart Tokayev on his election as President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, and I am confident that his term will witness further achievements in the country's journey of economic transformation. I would like also to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, first President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, for giving me the opportunity to be part of the success story of his promising financial institution by becoming a member of the esteemed Astana International Financial Centers Management Council. Excellency, distinguished guests, indeed, the creation of the AIFC was a major milestone in the history of the Republic of Kazakhstan. It bears testament to the fact that this great nation has the potential to succeed in any field, not only in domestic level, but also on the regional and international levels. The AIFC has already made a major stride in becoming a leading regional financial hub for the countries of Central Asia and the Commonwealth of Independent States. It is with a great pleasure that I congratulate distinguished members of the Management Council and all staff on having AIFC ranked first Eastern Europe and Central Asia and 51 globally by the Global Financial Center Index. It is an accomplishment that every citizen of this great nation should be proud of. I believe that AIFC can enhance and implement financial global best practice in legal, regulatory, and administrative aspects. It is a very rich experience that other countries in a wide range can benefit from. The ISTB Group has always supported the initiative of the Republic of Kazakhstan in the last 2 decades. Our portfolio has grown to about $1.5 billion, covering key strategic areas, namely infrastructure, agriculture, trade finance, private sector development, and Islamic finance also. Kazakhstan widely recognized Islamic Infrastructure Integration Initiative will undoubtedly boost regional and international cooperation between the country and other ISTP member countries. The ISTP can work with the IFC not only to promote Islamic finance, but also to contribute to the development of capital market. Socio-economic development in member countries will greatly benefit from well-developed and fully functioning local capital market. This is important to scale up financing for development in line with the ISTP new business model, which aims to boost the participation of private sector in funding development projects to meet the SDGs. Therefore, the AIFC can be a trusted partner in attracting private sector to fund infrastructure projects across the region through Islamic finance modality. With the AIFC now taking the lead in terms of promoting Islamic finance in Kazakhstan, I would like to assure you and our friends and continued support in this significant endeavor. The ISTP Group appreciate and fully support your aspiration to make Nur Sultan an international hub for Islamic finance, and it looks forward to maintaining close cooperation with the AIFC. I have every confidence that the up-and-coming AIFC can help put Nur Sultan on the map of global center of excellence. Allow me to extend once again my sincere appreciation and thanks to Your Excellency, to the government, to the people of Kazakhstan for their warm hospitality and continued cooperation. Thank you so much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. So the next floor will be given to Mrs. Julia Monaco, who represents the Citigroup.
Your Excellency, Mr. President Tokayev, distinguished members of the Council, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start by expressing my appreciation for the invitation to attend this meeting. It's a great honor to serve on the Astana International Financial Center Management Council and to support the center to becoming a strategic financial hub in the region while driving the country's economy towards sustainable development. Kazakhstan is an important market for Citi and has been since we opened our office here in 1994. Its strategic geographic position in the intersection of Russia, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa makes it a unique platform for growth and enables a high degree of connectivity for all of the clients that Citi serves in this region. Being one of the most developed countries in the region, together with a recently implemented favorable tax and legal regime for the AIFC, Kazakhstan has all the necessary setup to create one of the leading financial centers. Citi is the only global financial institution with an operating license in Kazakhstan and has offices in 5 cities, including here in Nur Sultan. Citi provides strategic capital to key Kazakhstan entities and is the lead provider of settlement and clearing services, and we look forward to providing those clearing and settlement services to the AIFC. We're a proud partner of AIFC and will continue to support the AIFC to meet its full potential. Capital market development as an alternative source of financing of the local economy is a reform needed for further development of the economy. Creation of the modern infrastructure with common law, simplified visa and labor regimes, one-stop solution is a right framework and has already been set up. Privatization plans of the government will definitely help to increase the capitalization of the local market by attracting more international investors' appetite. Citi was a depository receipt bank on the successful IPO of Gazatomprom and providing opportunity for foreign investors to invest in Kazakh companies. We're willing to further extend our partnership with the AIFC to other planned IPOs and to work on the development of the infrastructure and the new financial product offerings. As Kazakhstan owns substantial reserves of unique assets like uranium, cobalt, and other metals and mining, it could create new products linked to such assets, ETF-type products, and offer them to the global market investors through this platform. Regional competition for financial flows can be won by creating unique product offerings and special conditions for local and international issuers. Citi's global priorities are very much aligned with the priorities you just mentioned in terms of green finance, fintech, and the Belt and Road Initiative. Fintech development has capacity to transform finance and capital markets. Much of the work on finance and capital markets is focused on the foundation of the digital economy that will enable millions of people and small businesses to have access to finance, manage savings, and securely transfer payments. The AFC has already strengthened its support for fintech through its accelerator program and FinTech Stars. A stable, symbiotic fintech ecosystem is instrumental in the growth of the fintech industry. And while there's a number of fintech hubs around the world, only a few are globally recognized. It requires government, academia, regulators, and they are the pillar to support the opportunity to create a well-rounded fintech community. Looking at the most successful fintechs around the world, their respective governments have had a significant role in their global success. Citi has made strong investments in fintech. Citi Ventures was created over 10 years ago in Palo Alto, California for investing in the fintech industry. We have a Citi FinTech, our global innovation centers, which I know you have visited, as well as conducting hackathons to source fintech companies around the world and help accelerate those companies. We look forward to taking that knowledge and experience and working with AFC on your goals as it relates to fintech. And finally, as it relates to the BRI, Kazakhstan's strategic location and its strong representation in the BRI Global Portfolio Project is another angle which can further help the development of the capital markets. Citi serves clients across more than 160 countries, and our presence spans more than 100 of the Belt and Road markets. And Citi is collaborating with 3,500 clients and 20,000 of their subsidiaries in the BRI countries, and providing complete banking solutions to those clients to invest along the BRI, including digital solutions that are helping Chinese companies to achieve more efficient foreign exchange risk management and automation of reconciliation. Citi Kazakhstan is well positioned to support the BRI project's development here in Kazakhstan and is currently the only international bank which has a large Chinese client portfolio and the largest bank by volume of the processed payments through the correspondent accounts and through the large cross-border debt arranger for the country's issuers. So, Mr. President, in conclusion, let me confirm that Citi supports your effort to increase engagement with foreign investors to further develop Kazakhstan. We remain fully committed to Kazakhstan market as an investor, as a lender, and as an arranger of capital. The AFC will offer a roadmap to progress and prosperity for the entire country, and Citi looks forward to supporting AIFC in that agenda. Thank you.
Very much. I really appreciate your comments. So the next floor will be given to Dr. Victor Funk, Chairman of Funk Group.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished members of the Management Council, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to be in Kazakhstan as a guest of AIFC and to say a few words about Hong Kong. Hong Kong is actually a very small economy, as you know, but in the area of finance, we're one of the world's leading capital markets, where we are actually in a position to help companies from China and across the world to come and raise capital. Hong Kong is actually one of the world's top 5 stock exchanges, together with New York, NASDAQ, Tokyo, and Shanghai. Last year, in 2018, Hong Kong was the largest IPO market, raising $37 billion US, representing about 18% of the global IPO. This was followed by New York with $29 billion, and Hong Kong was actually also the largest IPO market in 2015 and 2016. So we've actually made quite a bit of progress in recent years. I think this achievement is actually a reflection of Hong Kong as having a very key role as a connector in the whole Asia-Pacific region. It has an open economy, a rule of law based on English common law, and adoption of the best international practice. And importantly, Hong Kong has the capacity to constantly reinvent itself. The AIFC, I'd like to first of all congratulate the management on the tremendous progress made around the world. The AIFC has similarities with Hong Kong. It has a strategic location on the Belt and Road and good connectivity with neighboring countries in Europe. Distinct from the rest of the country, AIFC operates under English common law and adopts best international practices. Although a new institution, AIFC has proved its determination to also invent itself as the regional center for fintech, Islamic finance, green finance, asset management, private banking, and so on. Indeed, in my mind, AIFC can be the Hong Kong of Central Asia. Perhaps what may be of interest is a quick update on how Hong Kong is now trying to reinvent itself, this time as a focus on green finance and green financial banking hub. In May of this year, the Hong Kong government issued a $1 billion green bond. It's a first ever sovereign green bond. The bond was 4 times oversubscribed. Asian investors took about half of the bonds, and the rest went to Europe and the US. Additional sovereign green bonds of up to $13 billion are in the pipeline and may be issued to finance other green infrastructure projects. Sovereign bonds are just one part of the wider plan to make Hong Kong a green financial and banking hub. The Hong Kong government recently signed the International Green Bond Pledge to use green finance to support long-term infrastructure and capital projects that address environmental impact and climate risk. Other concerted efforts, including the launch of a Green Finance Association that encourages private sector to use green finance, and the issuance of guidelines by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority to promote green and sustainable banking. In closing, I'd like to just say that Hong Kong is the middle of a very vibrant area of China, southern China. Some of you may know it over the last 40 years as the Pearl River Delta region. Our latest name for this region is the Greater Bay Area. It consists of 11 cities, 9 on the mainland side, plus Hong Kong and Macau. And it is really a very vibrant region. If you were to look at this as a comparison to other parts of the world, other economies, we are roughly 70 million people, per capita GDP about $22,000 US, about 1.6 trillion US dollar GDP, and that would probably make us comparable to South Korea. So just to give you an idea of that particular region. We are in fact growing at double digit for the whole region, much above the national average. So this is an area which in our minds is really the beginnings of the maritime Silk Road, whereas Kazakhstan, I think, will be the beginnings of the overland Silk Road. So I think between the two regions, I hope that there will be a long and fruitful cooperation for the future. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Fung, for your presentation. And now I give the floor to Mr. Ehud Olmert, a well-known politician and lawyer from Israel. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Allow me, first of all, to congratulate you for your recent election to be President of Kazakhstan. A very important position following a great leadership of Nursultan Nazarbayev, the former president. Also, Prime Minister, Mr. Oscar Mamin, my congratulations for your election as Prime Minister. And my friend, Mr. Kalimbatov, the founder and the head of this organization, AIFC, which is growing rapidly and becoming a very attractive and major institute that I'm sure will advance not just the economy of Kazakhstan, as it is already doing, but also the network of international connections, which look at Kazakhstan now more than ever before as a meeting point for many different countries, for many different regions. And I can say that as far as Israel is concerned, already the very dynamic and energetic business community of the State of Israel, particularly in the areas of new technologies and innovations, is exceptionally interested in the opportunities that were opened here as a result of the establishment of the AIFC, and I'm sure that it will develop further in the near future, which will have a very important and significant symbol for me personally, because I was so privileged to sign the first agreement of cooperation as a Minister of Trade and Industry in the State of Israel with the then Minister of Trade and Industry of Kazakhstan, Mr. Masimov, back in 2004. Since that agreement was signed, the relations, the economic relations, the business relations between our two countries have expanded tremendously. And I think that the now creation of AIFC is a golden opportunity for expanding it and for relying on Kazakhstan and Nur-Sultan city as a meeting point for much broader relationships and business opportunities in many different countries that are in this area and in Southeast Asia, and which are coming to this dynamic place. I'd like to offer very short observations about the events which are, I think, catching the curiosity and attention of the international community with regard to the region where I come from. Iran is a major issue, and we are witnessing with a certain degree of tension what may develop as a result of the recent statements made by President of the United States with regard to Iran and the continued efforts to control the possible development of non-conventional weapons by Iran. I personally think, based on my experience in dealing with this issue over a long period of time in my former capacities, that in spite of what appears sometimes to be the spirit of the rhetoric which now characterizes the international discourse, I think that the leadership of Iran will not take unnecessary steps that will endanger the stability and the well-being of Iran, which is already battling with serious economic problems as a result of the international pressure. And at the same time, that in spite of what appears sometimes to be an excessive use of threats, the leadership of the United States under President Trump will find a proper manner to influence their dialogue with Iran through talks and words rather than through the use of unnecessary military power. So while there is a certain degree of concern about the developments in the Gulf, I personally believe that it will not resort to an unnecessary use of force which may destabilize the entire region. At the same time, the President of the United States is very interested, which is positive, in what he calls creating the deal of the century, which may become a deal of the century if it will succeed, which is the agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. And recently there was quite an extraordinary meeting in Bahrain, which was designated in advance to be an economic meeting, designating the possible allocation of, grossly speaking, of $50 billion by different international sources in order to finance the economy of countries which will be involved in some way in the creation of peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is certainly an expression of goodwill and genuine concern of the United States in moving forward the Middle East. I personally hold the opinion that the only possible way to resolve the issues in the Middle East is to conduct direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. There can be no alternative for political discussion between the parties directly involved, Israel and the Palestinians. And I personally happen to hold the Palestinian leadership in a high esteem. The Palestinian Authority, led by Dr. Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen, I think that he can be a partner for peace, and I think that following the near political developments in Israel in September, we will conduct negotiations that may lead towards ultimately an agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. I think if such an agreement will take place, it will help stabilize the entire region and will open opportunities which we can imagine and dream about and will hopefully become real at the near future. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. So the next floor is being passed over to Mr. Igor Finogenov, chairman of Polymetal from Russia.
Уважаемый Касым-Жомарт Кемелевич, дамы и господа, уважаемые коллеги, как уже было отмечено, just wait, for translation, okay. Как было уже отмечено, 17 апреля этого года простые акции Polymetal International Public Company были включены в официальный список биржи Международного финансового центра Астана. По итогам торгов объем размещения был на сумму более 17 миллионов долларов США, и спрос на акции превысил предложение более чем в 2 раза. Результаты торгов превзошли все наши ожидания. Тем более, что это первый опыт размещения на бирже, на данной бирже частной компании. Несколько слов о Polymetal, чтобы понять некоторую предысторию. Polymetal International, являясь международной компанией и котирующейся на лондонской бирже и входящей в индекс ФТСЕ этой биржи, за последние 10 лет в производственном смысле значительно укоренился в Казахстане. На Казахстан приходится 38% геологических запасов группы или более 9 миллионов унций золота. В прошлом году казахстанские активы Polymetal произвели более 7 тонн золота. С выходом месторождения Кызыл на полную проектную мощность объем производства группы в Казахстане вырастет до 15 тонн золота в год в ближайшие 3 года. В чем мы видим выгоды размещения на Astana International Exchange? По моему убеждению, финансовые активы идут в реальный сектор наилучшим образом там, где точка входа финансов близка к реальным активам. В Казахстане, вот пример Гонконга, о чем говорил мистер Фунг, он говорит о том, что действительно имеет значение и географическое размещение таких финансовых учреждений. В Казахстане также созданы все условия для того, чтобы финансовые инвесторы могли бы воочию видеть, куда идут их деньги. Во-вторых, объем финансового рынка только Казахстана нам представляется довольно значительным. Пенсионные фонды, страховые компании, банки ежегодно показывают стабильный рост. Сегодня, когда наблюдается явный процесс огораживания западных финансовых рынков, попыток действовать не рыночными методами, мы обращаем внимание на Казахстан, который в силу своего геополитического положения видится нам всегда весьма привлекательным рынком. И последнее, что кажется нам очень важным, в перспективе усилится интерес к нью-йоркским геологоразведочным компаниям. Astana International Exchange обещает стать площадкой, ориентированной на привлечение средств к нью-йоркским геологическим компаниям в их проекты. Это полностью соответствует нашим интересам и нашей стратегии как международной компании, активно действующей в Казахстане. Хочу отметить, что, конечно, создание МФЦА имеет большое значение не только для Казахстана, но и для всех стран-участников Евразийского экономического союза. Особенно если учесть, что идет формирование общего финансового рынка. Господин Климбетов достаточно, так сказать, детально об этом говорил. Полиметалл строит свои отношения с Astana International Exchange на крепком фундаменте глубокого доверия к инвестиционному потенциалу Казахстана, юрисдикции Астанинского финансового центра, технологических возможностям и инфраструктуре биржи. Это доверие основано на опыте нашей деятельности в Казахстане, и мы уверены, что нашему примеру последуют другие компании, потенциальные элементы Astana International Exchange. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you, Mr. Finogenov, for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make some concluding comments. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you for your hard work today and leading up to the meeting. In light of the upcoming Capitals Day, I need to mention that we have already made a great contribution to the development of the city of Nur-Sultan. All of us. The capital is becoming an international financial center, gradually is becoming a financial center recognized on the financial map of the world. And of course, in this respect, we feel to be quite happy. All of the key Kazakh as well as foreign companies and institutions are located here in the capital. Now we need to build upon this foundation. Nur-Sultan city is becoming the main locomotive of the country. As a result of the AIFC's work, the capital has already become the leader of the region, here in Central Asia and even beyond, in Eastern Europe, and in the global rating of financial centers. The world's leading architects have created a unique image of the capital. Now it's time for some of the world's leading financial specialists to create a unique financial center here in this city. Apart from purely financial development, the center should work actively in attraction of broad investment to the economy. The IFC should become the main project factory for the entire country. Transactions to finance key industrial infrastructure projects should be structured here. The upcoming IPOs of the national companies like Kazakh Telecom, Kazmunaygaz, Kazakhstan Temirjoli, Air Astana will take place here at the AIFC. Investors will find great business climate and opportunities, world-class service and infrastructure, as well as efficient legal protection of their interests. I'm grateful to the partners of the AIFC for their support, and I expect your active participation in the development of the center. In the very end, I would like to wish you every success, and at this point, I join the meeting of the Council. Thank you very much.